He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman,
I'm not afraid.
and a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth,
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna
I'm not afraid.
and his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. By the way, little story. This is the second time I record this interview. Funny things are happening more and more. You know, since I interviewed Mr. Beanie, William Beanie, the NSA whistleblower, a couple of years ago, my computer went crazy sometimes when I have interesting interviews. Now, I don't want to believe that this is just, in conspiracy, maybe just my computer. But it's funny because I have two computers running, so it's very strange. But regardless, today's show, I really believe is very important. Why? Because the point is something that comes down to the core of our country. You know, to become an American, it is about a piece of paper, or it is about what is in your heart. That's the question. And when you have, for example, Americans, or at least, let's say, human beings, because there are no Americans yet, according to the law, okay? But human beings who come from different parts of the world, who join our militaries, or what's supposed to be our militaries, and, I'll tell you later about it. And they're ready to die, and they're ready to sacrifice everything they have, and they show their love. This is, for me, probably the most ultimate act of love. I mean, this is not like you're applying for a job at the bank. If you join the military, the paycheck is not that good, and it is not about the money. It is about, after all, you believe in something. And I understand many people maybe need some extra help and education or whatever, but at the end of the day, you can find that stuff somewhere else. And, for me, I feel this very close because, I wasn't born here. I was born in Rome, Italy. And when I came here 18 years ago, I really felt that for me, I wanted to give back to this country what many of your grandfathers gave to my country, what used to be my country, Italy at the time. In World War II, my family was rescued and was freed by American soldiers. Many of your grandfathers maybe died on the beaches of Anzio. So I felt I wanted to become a soldier to try to give back my love back to you, to this country. Now, I already told you why I didn't do it. I'm not going to spend time about this. But my point is, when I find today, for example, like the guest that I have today, that a man who was born in another country, in this case Mexico, and after he was good enough for America to become a soldier and to also risk his life, his limbs, and everything he has, but then, after his service was done, he wasn't good enough anymore to be a citizen. And I understand that there are rule of law, there are immigration laws that we all should apply, but there is also a reality here that I want to say. There are two different standards. And I believe that, unfortunately, they throw the book at people like him that we're talking about today. Instead, sometimes they're very much more, especially with the latest administration, Obama administration, they're completely ignoring the basic immigration law for many other categories of people. And we will go there more into details. Now, I have the honor and the pleasure to have with me today a man who is talking right now from another country. He's from Mexico right now. He's in Mexico. His name is Hector Barajas. Hector, are you there?
Yes, how's it going? And we're going to give it a round two.
Round two, Hector. I'm sorry, as I said.
And we're in Tijuana, Baja California. We're at the Deported Veteran Support House, and we're 30 minutes away from San Diego, from the United States. And we are the hub center for deported veterans around the world, not just in Mexico. I have veterans deported to 36 different countries. And as I mentioned before, we have veterans deported that from the Vietnam War and in peacetime that served came from Italy as well, and they're deported at the moment as well. So we have we have veterans from all over the world as well.
Hector, tell me something. You have a website for your organization, or place people can find out more about it.
Sure, we have the Deported VeteransSupportHouse.org website, and then recently we formed a group with the ACLU, which I'm part of that committee, and it's DeportedVets.org, and we're trying to get an executive order, which is probably going to be very hard, from President Obama before he leaves, as well as get some legislation that's been passed from somebody in Arizona, and which will HR 5695 by Congressman Grijalva, and we're hopefully trying to make some changes within the administration to stop this from happening.
I give you a little tip, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but it's true. If you go to a little vacation to Syria, okay, and learn a couple Arabic words, come back. No, even you don't need to come back. Stay there, okay, and then start to wave your flag. Say, by the way, I love Obama, and I want to come to America. Guess what? You're gonna get free airfare, okay, free airplane ticket, and this is true, okay. Then you're gonna get free lawyer representation. Then they give you $1,000 Walmart gift card. I'm not kidding. Plus they give you free housing and also free English language. But you don't need it. You speak better English than me anyway. But my point is, think about the standard. You as a soldier, as a former American soldier, right now, you're on the other side of the fence and you're treated pretty much like a criminal. You can come back here, okay? But if you are like one of these hundreds of thousands of unvetted Muslims, because 95% of them, they're Muslim. I don't care about what religion people are, seriously. But the reality is this Obama administration, that's what they're doing. Unvetted Muslims coming here as some sort of, we can't even sustain our own people, and we have to bring here hundreds of thousands of them. And not only that, they don't even have to comply with any immigration law. So this is the double standard that I'm trying to talk. What do you think about this? I mean, don't you think this is wrong? You as an American soldier treated the way you are, and there you have hundreds of thousands of people unvetted. We don't even know who they really are, but we know the FBI has been saying, by the way, we know for sure that among them, at least 20% potentially they can be, terrorists, and still they bring them here, and still we pay everything for them, starting from their airplane ticket and everything else. What do you think? How do you feel about this?
Well, I think we do have a broken immigration problem, and when you can deport people that served in the military and make it difficult for them to go to a simple, well, it should be simple immigration hearing for my citizenship, in my particular case, and where we have veterans that suffer from post-traumatic syndrome because they've been to the war and they try to get a humanitarian parole. They're not allowed to go back, and I don't try to compare myself to anybody else, but I think what's fair is fair, and if you were in combat in Iraq, or if you were in Vietnam and you suffer from Agent Orange, regardless of what your immigration status now is, they should allow you to go back and see the doctors in the United States. So I think we should be. So some people say at the head of the line, but I just think what's fair is what's fair.
Tell me about a little bit about your service. When did you start to join which branch, and exactly when?
Sure, I came. Well, I wanted to point out is that I didn't have a choice to come here, and my parents brought me here, and I think that was one of the best decisions that they did, to bring me here and live the American dream. And I decided to join the military for various reasons, from GI Bill to wanting to serve my country, and so many different things. But I enlisted at the age of 17 through the delayed entry program. My parents have to sign off on it. I wasn't undocumented. I was a legal resident during that time, and I enlisted for 4 years and then re-enlisted for another 3, total of 5 years, 10 months, 2 honorable discharges, and I volunteered again serve with the 82nd Airborne and jump out of airplanes and put my life on the line in various airborne operations, and I loved it. That's what I did, and I enjoyed being a soldier.
Very good. So at the point, you have honorable discharge, you serve our country, and at this point, what happens to you? I mean, you thought during this moment that you were a soldier, you were covered. After all, I'm working for the U.S. government, for God's sake. You can't kick me out of here. But what happened? You left, you became a civilian, and you didn't maybe realize that you didn't finish your paperwork. Am I right or wrong?
Well, basically, I never thought immigration would be the last thing on my mind was ever immigration or anything of those things. So I didn't go through the citizenship process. I did start it, didn't finish it, and basically after I got out of the military, I got into trouble, and I can't go into details because of my current application for citizenship. But I did plead guilty to a discharge of a firearm, and I went to jail for 3 years and a half.
Wow.
Spent a year fighting my case. They thanked me for my service. I was deported for 20 years. Wow. Came back because I didn't want to stay in Mexico. Got caught. Was working, paying taxes, and I working for the union actually. And I got caught, and they deported me for life in 2010.
Okay, interesting. So I'm just curious. As I said, we are human beings. I'm not here to judge others. Even I never had that experience. Thank God to go to jail. But you paid your due to society. You did your time. Did your time. Nobody got killed. I hope, right? I mean, nobody died.
No. And one of the things that I think anybody that gets, depending on the situation, if anybody commits a crime, you have to pay for it. Whether that's just how I feel about it. It should be like that everywhere, but unfortunately, it's not.
Yeah.
But if you get in trouble, yeah, you should go to jail. You should go to prison or whatever. One of the things that we've noticed with the soldiers nowadays, and it wasn't in place when I was in, but a lot of the when the soldiers come back from war, they've noticed that a lot of these men come back and their military service actually, if they've been into combat or just you don't have to be in combat to suffer from PTSD, but their service actually is connected to the reasons why they begin drinking, using drugs, domestic violence, and all these things. So what they do now is, instead of sending you to jail, let's say you get, and it depends now, if you get caught with 200 pounds of marijuana, it's not personal use. But let's say you get caught with, an ounce of weed, then okay, well, we're going to send you to what do they call veterans courts now. We have that in place in a lot of states because they've noticed that we have a high rate of veterans committing suicide and also getting into trouble.
I mean, this is true. I mean, many soldiers that maybe we don't realize as civilians what type of lifestyle you have to go through, guys, because somehow their average work 9 to 5, even in the factory, can be tough, whatever. It is not to compare when you see your friends, your brothers, your sisters dying or being blown up in front of you, or even just to have the stress that normally we don't have in the regular world. So I'm not trying to say that we need to condone mistakes, but at the same time we should have at least an understanding that sometimes jail is not the solution. Maybe a good help is let's say, psychologists could help better than a jail. That would be for sure. Now, regardless, you got your own problem. You took care. Nobody died, thank God, and you were young. Now, still, why at that point you had to be now treated like a criminal on the other side of the fence when you were good enough, when you were a soldier, to die for this country? Now you're not good enough anymore to live in this country. That's my point. And I'm pretty much strong as an advocate for legal immigration because, as you know, I wasn't born here, but I believe everybody should have the same type of opportunity. Nobody should be above the law, I believe in the melting pot. I believe that America is an opportunity. It is not a right. I wasn't born there. But at the same time, I would like to have the same opportunity as a guy coming from Italy, like a guy coming from another country. We should have all the same opportunities. So I'm pretty strong about that. But I feel sorry for people like you who are somehow used, in my opinion, as soldiers, and that's still the U.S. government. And then now they don't treat you anymore as an American person, but they treat you, okay, by the way, now you got to go. So that's pretty harsh.
And then the worst part is that, if I die tomorrow, my body could be taken back to the United States, and they could bury my body in a national cemetery. They will, and if this has happened before, we've had veterans die, and they are given an American flag, and they're thanked. Their families are thanked for their service. So I'm not good enough to live.
Yeah.
But I am good enough to when I die, then
when
I'm
you're
good
dead.
enough.
That's pretty sad. You know, you want to be now when you're alive. You know, one thing I want to say, I said before, and this is coming from a former immigrant like myself. Okay, I learned this in my little journey, 18 years in this country. I can be stripped tomorrow morning of my citizenship because right now we already have laws that they are tyrannical laws, in my opinion, and also according to our constitution, where the executive, for example, with the Patriot Act of the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, passed by Congress and signed by Obama, we can be stripped of our citizenship like we never really existed and be thrown in some, dungeon, not even in jail, and definitely detained. So right now we can all become, let's say, illegal aliens. That's the reality, okay? And also, not even have due process. So regardless, tomorrow they can do the same thing to me, but I believe that my heart, like your heart, that's the most important test to be an American. It is not about paperwork, because I know a lot of guys that I met during my, citizenship and the test and the things like that, and I've been in touch with them, and they can stand this country. All they want to come here, make a buck, and maybe, I don't know, send them back home or whatever. They couldn't give a damn. But when you have people that were ready to die and put their life on the line here, that's for me the ultimate test for citizenship. And that's why I believe at this point, it's not about what some bureaucrat can give you, it's what is in your heart. But of course, meanwhile, you got to try to face a way to come back without being harassed and trying to have also what you deserve. Now, question is, don't you think we have living under two different type of rule of laws? The laws of the slaves, people like us, you make a mistake or you just, slip through the crack, and they throw the book at you. And then there is the law for the elites, like the Hillary Clinton of the world, who can break, every law on the book. And, I don't even want to repeat myself. I said many times, probably you're following the news, and still running for president. You don't need to say everything. I understand you're trying to work the system, but what do you think about that? Are we living under the same rule of law, or we have two different types of set of laws?
I think there's a higher standard for the normal average person than anybody that's in politics or even the people that own all the big companies and all that. It is just a different standard of law. That's correct. And that comes, I guess we were talking about that earlier, is that we need to change this country, or we need to go out there and do our part. And like I said, we've done our part from taking a stand and we understand that this is the current policy for immigration, but we want to change that so that none of these veterans that served.
Hector, what I think also would be nice, because everybody wants to talk about change. The problem is, I think we should bring it back to a situation before even this change. Because let me tell you something. We had America, our founding fathers, for example, okay? And
Sure.
America, people come here, and if you can make it, you stay. If you don't make it, go back home. There wasn't all this housing, social services, and welfare stuff. I mean, you come to America, you see, for example, when people used to come by boat, from Europe or whatever, you come here, you're welcome. Guess what? If you're not gonna make it, guess what? There is no free ride. Go back home. Okay? That was, everybody wants to change something, but probably that maybe we should go back a little bit on things that we used to have. They weren't that bad after all, because we were more free in some ways, and we had probably more opportunities before than now. I believe as an immigrant myself, right now we're living under two standards. For example, there is the standard for people like me and you that if we make a mistake, we're going to be thrown out very fast, okay? Very fast. And then there are, for example, the standard of people that they are the chosen one for many political reasons. And I give you an example, and we don't need to agree with me, but this is my opinion from outside. For example, right now, there is some sort of, not just here, also in Europe, some sort of a plan to completely open the gates to a flood of a group of people that they don't come here normally as a normal immigration, let's say, melting pot idea to come a little bit. No, it is like forced into the nation for an agenda, a political agenda. And in this case, for example, we're talking about, in my opinion, the Muslim invasion. And why I'm telling you that? Because it's a fact. You know, if you have a people, a population, coming without any type of vetting, not even knowing where they're from, who they are. I mean, I had to bring here documents, where I was born, how many times I changed my address, my residence. And look at you what they're done after you serve as a soldier. They're still, not good enough to become a citizen. Meanwhile, we have 150,000, 200,000 refugees that they're not even families, many of them. They're just, fighting age male. Mostly 95% they're Muslims. And I'm not saying that, you can be a religion you want. I don't care. But unfortunately, when you're a Muslim, and you're a radical Muslim, you have an agenda. You are not for, love and peace and kumbaya. You want to convert other people. Otherwise, you're not a good Muslim. That's the reality. So they bring him here. They pay their air ticket from whatever they're from. We know that. The Obama administration has been giving free lawyers. That's a reality. Free housing, free welfare immediately, and also $1,000 Walmart gift card. That's, for me, it's a travesty. That's completely a disgrace to all the immigrants like myself and people like yourself that are now, you're on the other side of the borders, and they don't even give you half of what these people are getting. So there are two standards of laws, in my opinion. So that's the reality. What do you think about that? Am I way too far, or maybe I'm too something here? Am I crazy?
I think there is a double standard for like I said, for a lot of things, and that's where we need to change. And it's, like I said, even some of the I was recently in Nogales where we were protesting the School of the Americas, and I don't know if you're familiar with all that, but the reason that a lot of people immigrate, or let's say even the displacement of different places, is because we've destabilized certain either economic or certain regions, because you were talking about that earlier, how we've been to these different wars where they weren't even put in by Congress. Basically, there were other interests involved, and I mean, I guess we can argue on that.
Yeah.
But we've kind of created some of that, and
it is true. It is true. I mean, I say always before, they're like, it's like a chess game. For every action, there's a reaction. I mean, people want to leave Mexico, the South America. It is not just because, of course, many people love America, and I understand. Coming from a corrupted country like Italy, I always thought America it's a better place, and it is. Even now, of course, we are facing the same reality of corruption. When I see Hillary running around for president when she's supposed to be behind bars, but regardless, but the point is, when we know the programs, I mean, this sort of globalist agendas, like the destruction of the sovereignty of a nation, like with NAFTA, this free trade agreement, that they're not about free trade anything. It's about just the destruction and creating monopoly for the big corporations. What they did, they create destruction in South America, in Mexico, and also they create destruction in our country. That's the reality. So people, like, for example, the Syrian refugee, I understand. The Syrian refugee, they didn't want to just come to America just because. They first bombed the crap out of Syria. That's thanks to the Obama administration. And when you bomb people's homes, they want to go somewhere. But that was created by design. Like NAFTA and CAFTA and TPP is created by design. So they will create this sort of a migration, because people, they're going to have no more farms. The small farms in Mexico is dead. Like the small farm in America will be dead. What do you think about that?
Well, when I go visit the Mexico, I'm in Mexico, but when I go visit where my grandparents are, it's a beautiful town. It's got and Mexico has all kind of resources, but who wants to live in a country where the average wage is $5 a day? I mean, nobody wants to live in those sort of conditions. So yeah, you say I'm getting the hell out of Dodge, and it's and for people like Italy is a beautiful country, but there's I don't know what the situation
Oh,
is over there.
I
But,
tell you the situation is pretty, studying a little bit Mexico, it's pretty much the same. You have the elite, like Mexico, you have these few families that controls
oh yeah,
everything.
that's
In
true.
Italy is the same. Mostly is gonna be is the politicians, is the class of the new lords would live a completely different standard of life, and of course the bankers behind, and the rest everybody is a slave. That's the reality. And the taxes that are way beyond what now it's slavery. We may have differences in economic beliefs. As I said before, we were talking before. But the point is this, my friend. If let's say 100 years ago, okay, you were working at the farm, and you had to give 100% of what you earn to the Lord, how do you consider yourself, a free man or a slave?
Well, you're a slave.
Okay. Now, good. That's the truth. Now, if I had to go back to Italy and I had to give 80% of my work, my time, my labor to the state, 80%, I'm 80% slave, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So that's the reality. And that's the idea of the income tax. And by the way, let me tell you,
I see what you're saying, yeah.
let me tell you something, because something I learned when I came here, okay? Before 1913 in America, according to our constitution, it didn't exist, the income tax. You are aware of that or not?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay, this is why I like this show, because we can learn from each other. You come from your political position, I come maybe from my little different, but the idea is we're here as a free human beings, and I think we all want to become free, or we would like to stay free. Now, I would like to invite you to watch this on YouTube tonight when you can, a documentary that shows and breaks down the walls, especially of this idea that to pay your fair share, it is really your duty. Income tax, it is something that was created after the 1913, after the creation of the Private Federal Reserve Act. The Private Federal Reserve, that is not federal, it's private. Are you aware of that?
Mm-hmm.
So
No.
Federal Reserve, it is federal, like as Federal Express. So I want to just say this, write it down. You got the internet, share it with your friends and family. The movie is a documentary that I really beg you to watch, okay? And everybody out there, please watch it. America from Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo, Aaronrusso. American from Freedom to Fascism. That documentary, 1 hour and 20 minutes or whatever, explain to you what we used to be as Americans. We didn't have income tax. And let me tell you exactly the income tax what does. I give you just a short story. Before 1913, every time the US Treasury wanted to print a dollar, okay, we had that as a natural sovereign right as a nation. The Treasury used to print a dollar and always was backed by gold and silver, as the Constitution says. Mm-hmm. After the 1913, a cartel of banks, okay, and you will see exactly the name, by the way, you will see that the Federal Reserve, if you Google it, is a private corporation chartered in Delaware, and the shareholders, they're the biggest bankers out there, from Chase, Wells Fargo, and Rockefeller, and different other families, okay? So it's a bunch of private cartels of bankers. 1913, Congress was part of Congress, and the president, of course, that signed this bill in the middle of the night of Christmas, gave this power to this cartel to print money out of thin air. So every time now we need a dollar for welfare, for a war, for any type of program we need to go to the Federal Reserve. They print a dollar. Of course, now it's digital. They don't even need to waste money on paper. And every dollar they print and gave it to us, and we spend, it's a dollar of debt. And we have to pay the interest on that. Think about it. Who is that stupid? Let's say me and you, okay? Out of the blue, we say, by the way, let's give to Jerry out there the power to print money for us. So every time we need a dollar, he's going to charge us also the interest. And you know what they found out? During the Reagan administration, there was an independent committee, congressional committee. Every dollar that we pay in income tax, all it does, it goes to pay the interest on the debt that we have with the private Federal Reserve. So that's my only point I'm trying to say, because, when people say, we got to pay 80% of taxes, more taxes, wait a second. We are not paying taxes for programs. We are paying taxes to a private cartel of banks. So can you promise me, my friend, you're gonna watch that video I told you?
I'll check it out. It's interesting.
Because it's very important. You union guy, you talk with the union. You have as I said, we may have different political ideas or socioeconomics, but when we learn that the banks, the Federal Reserve, it is not our friend, and I think we can have a lot of things we can agree in common, and we can take it back this country. Anyway, give us the website where people can find out more about your organization and also how they can help.
Sure. So there's a couple of things that people can do. Is one of the most important things is to get us back home, and they can call their congressman. And there's a bill out there that was introduced by Congressman Grijalva. It's HR 5695. We need more people to support it, and it needs to be a bipartisan bill. We need to get everybody on board, and that's just the way things work to get bills passed. And then we have a campaign with the ACLU. We have them on our side, and we're trying to get an executive order, which is probably going to be very difficult, but we're still going to try anyways. And so there's deportedvets.org, and that's the campaign that the ACLU is doing. And if people want to support what we're doing here at the Deported Veterans Support House, they can go to deportedveteransupporthouse.org. And a little bit about what we do here is we do, since we don't have access to the VA healthcare, we sometimes work on finding doctors for the guys. Recently, we've been filing for compensation for the men, pension. So we work with service organizations to help them file for their VA benefits. Now we're starting to get the compensation exams and hopefully get some pensions for the guys. We also have volunteer counselors. We're working on a toy drive right now for the deported veterans, for their kids, for their grandchildren. We have a Thanksgiving dinner. Even though we're deported, we still celebrate Thanksgiving. And it's more of just a day for us to be together as a family, since we're away from our loved ones. So we're doing that. We still celebrate November 11th, Veterans Day. So we're going to be out there at the border, and I'm going to wear my uniform, even though I've been denied my access to go to my appointment. So we help the guys out with various things. We're a shelter. We work with the ACLU on finding pro bono attorneys for the veterans. We're just doing the whole gauntlet, and we're doing what the Veterans Administration is not doing, what our government is not doing, and that's taking care of our own. Because when you're in combat, when you're out in the field, you take care of each other. We leave no man behind in the field, and we're certainly not going to leave these men behind. And even like you said, there's a lot of differences between even a lot of the veterans from different parts of the world and different beliefs. But when it comes down to it, we're soldiers. We're American soldiers, and we just want to return to our families, and we're in it together. So we can't do it without the support from the American people. We can't do it without people like Charles, without people like you that are helping to get this awareness out, and that as individuals that we're trying to change the system that's broken. It's not just here, like you said. It's in Italy and in Mexico. It's all over the world. That's why when one of the things that we do here at the Deported Veterans Support House is we want the men to become. We're Mexican citizens, so we tell them to get established here, to find a job, to don't go back to getting in trouble. Because
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You I see that you're waving the American flag there. You wear an American soldier uniform in Mexico. It's a very nationalistic country, by the way.
Yes.
I think even more nationalistic than us. How do you feel when you go out there? More important, what is the reaction? Because you consider yourself an American, even technically you're a national Mexican national, okay?
Sure.
But I know that especially in that part of Mexico, unfortunately, there is some sort, not exactly always love and peace and kumbaya when they see an American flag. There is a lot of problems right now, and you go around also wearing uniform. That, by the way, that could be almost dangerous, because they could consider you like almost you are, I don't know, trespassing. I don't know how they consider you, but the point is, I wouldn't feel that confident to wear an American uniform in Mexico right now, especially in that part of Mexico. What's going on? Any feedback? Anybody throw rocks at you or?
If you walk into my office, you're gonna see you're gonna see about 20 American flags. That's just the as you walk into the office.
Yeah.
And you can see them visually from the outside. So, there's a huge American flag on my wall. So that's how much I love this country. Now I respect that I'm in a foreign country, and I'm never gonna. I wouldn't fly the American flag above the Mexican flag or none of that, because we have to respect the sovereignty of this nation. But I'm an American, and I still wear my uniform. I've had people tell me to take off my uniform. I've had Americans tell me to take off my uniform.
Wow.
I've had Border Patrol agents tell me that you got 20 days till Halloween and you need to take off that costume.
Wow.
I've had I've had all sorts of situations, but no, I'm not taking off my uniform. I'm going to die a proud American patriot, and that's who I am. And I'm willing to die for my country. And once I'm back, like I said, I'm limited to what I can do and what I can say. But once I get back, I want to do everything I can to help make our country better. I need to change as a person. And I think I've changed. This whole experience has made me a better person. So I want to make sure that I leave a better place for my daughter, and that involves everywhere. Because you're talking about climate change and pollution and all these things. So we have to make sure that our children, I have a daughter, and I want to make sure that she's in a better world, and that she's not a Syrian refugee, or that she's not being bombed by terrorists. So I want to make sure that we try to make.
So far, my friend, Hector. Unfortunately, in Syria, and this breaks my heart, because I don't like to bring down this country, but the fact is the fact, and I still believe they're using our names for bad things. I mean, people like Hillary and the Obama administration, that's supposed to be the Nobel Peace Prize, is the one bombing the crap out the Syrians, is the one bombing the crap out the Libyans and killing Gaddafi. I mean, the problem is that the terrorists, very well, ISIS, it was founded, and this is being proven by Pentagon declassified documents, and Obama also admitted it. It was funded by this administration. And it's like the Bush administration was funding Al-Qaeda. So that's the reality. They use this situation to create a crisis, and then to, I don't know if you ever read the book. It is an incredible book, War is a Racket, by General Butler. Did you ever read that book?
No, I haven't, but I'm actually a member of, we created a Veterans for Peace chapter here in Tijuana. So that's a common term used by the Veterans for Peace, is war is a racket. I know what you're saying. I agree.
Read the book. The guy was a super decorated Marine general, U.S. Marine general. I mean, he wasn't like a hippie, okay? I mean, the guy was first-star, super decorated guy. And he said, we've been used like some sort of a hitman for the banksters. And that was before World War I. Think about that. I mean, that guy was in the 30s talking about this stuff. Now we know very well the last war that Congress declared, and was the constitutional war, was World War II. Then from Korea, and then we talk about Vietnam and Iraq and all the stuff. They were all unconstitutional wars. People can say whatever they want, but if you believe in the Constitution, only Congress shall declare war. That's it. Not the president, not some bureaucrat at the CIA, okay? That's the reality. So anyway, listen, I consider you my brother, even from another nation, another language, but you believe in America, you love America, and I do the same, and we have this in common. That's why I consider you, regardless, we may have differences in socioeconomics or whatever. This is not about political ideas anymore. It's about the rule of law and the law for this country. That's the bottom line. And I'm glad that you came on the show. I really appreciate you, and I pray for you and your daughter, and I hope you can find some justice and at least be treated like you deserve. Because as I said, right now there are two standards. If you are a guy, a person, an immigrant, try to do everything through their book, it is very tough, almost impossible, okay? But if you are one of the chosen situations, guess what? Your life is pretty different. That's the reality. And that's not fair, because I think we should have the same type of opportunity. Nobody should be above the law. That's the reality. Okay, listen, I want to give you the last 2 minutes. You close. Whatever you want to say, you got the microphone.
Well, I want to Re-identify that I love my country, and we are proud Americans. I serve with the All Americans, and I would do anything for my country, and that's what we're trying to do is to get back to our families. And thank you guys for your support. We can't make it home. We can't get these laws to change because you guys are the constituents or the voters. So it's up to you guys to make this change, and regardless of what political views we have, because I get all kind of friends and different people. I think we can agree on a lot of on certain things, and like this, this issue that we love America, and we want to make it better. So. Let's just find common ground.
Yeah, and I say this way, as I said, I'm an independent. I don't. I ripped my Republican card 3 years ago. I burned it exactly. So it's not. You're talking about any party guy here, okay? I say before even we go into political ideas, one thing I hope we agree: we should have nobody's above the law. That's the fact. And I don't care if whatever person was running for office. If we have a person right now, like Hillary Clinton, and I spell it out. I'm the one speaking, not you, of course. We know very well. We have enough evidence right now that it's even my dog can understand that. Okay, everybody, even if you don't speak English, you can understand. She's a crook. Okay, her and her husband, and I don't want to repeat everything. We don't have time. From Haiti, the Clinton Foundation, and Benghazi. I mean, how do you feel about Benghazi? And the 50,000, 60,000 emails and the lies. I mean, there was a U.S. Marine, that just a few months ago, he was the dishonorable discharge just because he divulged one email. According to they didn't follow the protocol. He was thrown out. His life was ruined. But she's like a queen, like a prince, like a royalty. And we know very well, by the way, she's a double talker. If you believe that the system is broken, especially when it comes down to, let's say, the little guy. I mean, NAFTA and CAFTA was a disaster for the blue collars people. Guess what? She's Mrs. CAFTA, NAFTA, and TPP all combined. So her husband. So my point, but besides even that, she's a liar to you guys. But more important, she's a crook. In my opinion, right now, I still believe that everybody deserves a trial. Nobody's innocent. I mean, nobody's guilty until proven guilty. But my point is, at least she should have faced a jury and a trial. That's my point. Don't we agree on that?
I think everybody deserves a fair trial, and everybody deserves to get treated the same, and everybody.
But if I was you, that you were doing not even 1/10 of what she did, you're already behind bars without bond.
That's true.
That without bond, forget about that. Okay. Anyway, listen. Sure. I wish you the best, my friend. There, maybe one day we'll meet together. And all I can say, I understand what it means to be behind enemy lines because I've been most of my life when I was in Italy. And as I said, even when things are bad here, we still have hope here to take it back. That's all I can say. So I hope you can join us back here pretty soon, okay?
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, very good. And this is Luca Zanna, and was an incredible guest. I tell you, I really feel for stories like that because it's not just even as an American, I think this is wrong. But as a former immigrant, I really believe, there's so much wrong. And people who took their time and took their seriously to become a soldier, as I said, even of course now our politicians, unfortunately, are a bunch of corrupted bastards, and they're completely using our sons and daughters for terrible things. At the same time, there are a lot of good men and good women out there who believes in the ideals to serve this country, and they're ready to die for it. And they misuse, abuse, send them out like cannon fodder. At the same time, when they don't need them anymore, they just throw them out, and this is wrong. Anyway, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. We'll look at Zanna, a little break, then we go to final part of this hour, and then we'll continue. More guests, more news. Do not go away. Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve a break. Enjoy a moment of indulgence. It's time for Zanna Coffee. Guilt-free pleasure. Zanna Coffee is the organic coffee to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Only the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world that I selected. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com www.zannacoffee.com ZannaCoffee.com. Get your coffee bag now. Don't be cheap. Life is too short and you deserve the best. Zanna Coffee. Okay, this is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM. About a couple of weeks ago, I had an interesting guy as my guest, Mr. Gambino Cortez. This is not a real name, but he's an interesting guy because I really believe I wish every young man out there would do what he's doing. He wants to learn. He wants to ask questions. He wants to understand and expose the criminals out there. And he's a regular guy. He's not like a special degree or, Snowden, former national security NSA guy. This is just a regular working man. Normally he works, I know. He's in construction. But when he doesn't work, he goes out there, tries to learn the truth about who is behind this criminal government that is not really anymore our government. More important, who is really behind controlling everything. Always we say, they. The guy is out there is trying to learn about the Federal Reserve, about the United Nations, about the IRS. He calls people. It's pretty amazing. Takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. Also, I believe a lot of guts, because if you start to put out this information also on the internet, well, you may be probably surprised that they may also follow you. All I know that last time, my first interview was an accident. I want to believe that. After I was recording him, the computer started to go crazy again. And I changed computer. It's okay. Today, I just call him right now. I have, unfortunately, sad news he wants to share with us that he will tell us right now more. But after a few seconds, I was having him on the phone. Bang. The computer started to go crazy again. So I don't know. Maybe just another conspiracy. Maybe I need to change the computer again. Anyway, regardless, I would like to share. Unfortunately, I don't want to share, but I think it's important to know what's going on, at least to have an idea. As I said, I'm not there. I don't know what happened to Gambino's family, but I know that the coincidence was pretty strange. While I was having him on the show, recorded the interview, one of his family members was killed by the police. We will know more. I don't know much, but I would like to have Mr. Gambino to share with us this sad news. Gambino, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I'll give you the floor. We have about 10 minutes. I want you to give us the short story. We had an interview a couple of weeks ago about your story, what you do as a black American to try to learn, expose the criminals behind, expose the United Nations. You're an interesting guy. I really like what you're doing. And at the same time, while we were having this interview, something happened to one of your family members. Give us details, please.
When me and you did the interview last week or the week before last, we did the interview like about 10:30, 11 o'clock that night. 8:30 that morning, Carrollton, Texas police had killed my nephew. What they killed him behind, and now I'm not saying that it was related to what I'm exposing, but it's just very, very coincidental that it happened in that manner, in that shape. And the papers are reading that they're telling all kind of lies. I spoke to a CIA agent over Facebook, and he was telling me a lot of different stuff that he felt like it was a political reason, a political killing behind it. And he felt like it was a political killing behind it. So therefore, we still searching for the truth.
Question: Is your nephew? Was your nephew involved politically?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't involved in nothing political.
So it was just a regular guy. What did he? Did he have? I want to be fair. I don't say that there is a lot of police brutality lately. Unfortunately, this is the fact. Okay. At the same time, there are also people that sometimes they put themselves in situations that they can get shot. Criminals, if you try to rob a bank, you're gonna get shot. What exactly happened to your nephew? Because I don't know. He was minding his business. Where he was in his house, where his hotel. What exactly happened? Give us more details.
This is what they put out in the paper. They put out in the paper that he was he had some women against their own will. He was holding them hostage.
Wow.
But both women have testified and said that they was there on their own free will.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to go into further details about the second witness, but we're going to leave that be. But she has some very, very damaging information.
Okay. I mean, so he was having good time with some women at where? At his house, a hotel, where he was?
He was at a motel.
Motel. Okay.
He was at a motel in Harrison.
Okay. So
And the SWAT team, they took one female suspect down, which was there on her own accord. And when they took her down, they took another. They waited for him to come out the room. They had already been there waiting for hours for him to come out the room.
So they
And
shot
when
him.
he came out the room, they stated that he complied with commands to surrender. He came out with his hands up.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, he had on boxers, but they trying to say that he had a pistol in his waistband. How can you hold a pistol when you have nothing but boxers on?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of difficult to have a pistol in your boxers because normally boxers, they really don't hold much pistol. But regardless, of course, as I said, I'm not there. I wasn't there. You weren't there. You just know how did you get your information from? Are you got eyewitness that you talked to, or maybe family relatives, or how did you get your sight?
I got a family member, his brother.
Okay. Well, all I know that unfortunately,
his brother have talked to several eyewitnesses, which is my other nephew.
Yeah. This is sad. Regardless, unless you are suicidal, you want to kill yourself. Normally, if you understand that you're surrounded and they have rifles pointed at you, you're gonna comply. That's normally what a person would do, in my opinion. But as I said, I wasn't there. Now, regardless, is I think always sad because he didn't kill anybody. I mean, even let's say worst case scenario, the guy was doing some sort of, I don't know, kidnapping a person or maybe keeping a girl against her will. That's wrong, of course. But nobody, he wasn't killing anybody, didn't kill anybody. Did he try to kill anybody? I'm just curious. What exactly, when the SWAT team comes, I mean, normally they send you the deputies. They don't send you the SWAT team immediately. That's the weird part.
The female that they claim that made the call in that you've been held against her will, they went to the motel room and picked her up and took her back to the police department.
Wow. Well, all I know is it is sad, because if it's true that the guy was surrendering, and unfortunately, we watch many videos right now that by accident or act of God, we'll be able to know the truth when people that were surrendering. I mean, I watched a video just a few days ago. There was a guy, being pulled by a cop and stopping, putting himself on his knees and behind his car. And the cop, while the guy was having his hands raised, he kicked him in the face and knocked him down. And he was complying everything. So I'm not saying that this situation was right or wrong. I don't know. But unfortunately, I know that many times right now, more and more, we're able to see that we cannot trust anybody. And I don't care. I'm not saying that every cop is bad. But unfortunately, not just because you have a uniform means that we need to trust what you're saying. There are good cops and bad cops. That's a fact. So I don't know, but I'm sad, I'm disturbed, and I just want to hope that there was just a coincidence because I know that, I've been following you. Your Facebook page gets knocked down every other time. You ask me for friendship again. What happened this week?
They knocked it down. They deleted it again.
I know.
It's like every week or every other week. They delete my pages. I have friend requests coming from Hollywood directors and film entertainers and newscasters and all different type of stuff. But hey,
this is very sad. I mean, very true. I mean, I tell you, normally I have a lot of friends that they do activism like you do, but I never see anybody with their page knocks down like they do. And I watch your pages. I look at your pages. I know that you don't even post like any type of hate. You don't do any type of violence. All you post is interviews. You call people. You call the United Nations. You call, different government agencies, and you ask them questions. I mean, it's your duty as your right as an American to do that. And they knock you down because of these things. That's pretty amazing, I tell you.
They knock me down because it's the truth. I understand why they knock me down. I just don't care, and they know that.
Wow. Well, I don't know. I can say, I pray. I pray for you, and I don't know your your nephew, and all I know that regardless, may his soul rest in peace, and hopefully at least we can find out some truth, because there must be some accountability. I mean, always little force must be proportion to the situation. You can't just shoot at people because you feel like it. Okay, I mean that's the reality. Seriously, I mean if your family member, if your nephew was really surrendering, and he had no weapons, I mean that's something we should find out. And I said, go ahead.
And that's what they're not telling. And I want Carrollton, Texas Police Department to know that this is coming from Cortez Gambino. We will get to the bottom of this. I don't know whether they knew if that was my family member or not, or what the reason may be, but we will get to the truth of this.
Yeah,
this will be shared. This will have major light shed upon it.
You have, I mean, your family, or at least your brother's family, as a lawyer following you, helping you out, at least to try to find a way to find the truth.
Yes, we got a family lawyer that's on the matter as well.
Okay. As I said, for me, the only side I want to take is the truth, and I'm open to everything. I'm not saying who's right, who's wrong, because I'm not judge, I'm not jury. I'm just a guy here with a microphone. All I know, though, unfortunately, the last few years, not just today, but the last 10, 15, 20 years for sure, there's been a switch from peace officer, what we used to have peace officers to keep the peace. Now we have law enforcement. Law enforcement translates immediately in become now in the new militarized police, the SWAT team. I mean, they used to serve warrants before, the SWAT team's time, and many situations you don't need a SWAT team to serve a warrant. I mean, that's the overkill of the situation, and also the training. The point is the officer himself or themselves, they're just the result of the training. If now we are living a militarized police, I mean, look at now. They serve you a ticket, the warrant for a no-pay ticket with a SWAT team. I heard stories like, for example, you don't pay your library, your book, you're late with your payments or whatever, you don't return the book fast enough, quick enough. They send you the police. Seriously. I mean, this is really serious. So all I pray for justice and for truth. That's all I can say. Gambino, I give you the floor. Whatever you want to say, you got 20 seconds.
This is to all the United States government and any other government. Cortez Gambino does not stand down.
All right. Listen, Gambino, stay in touch with me, please, okay? I want to follow you. Whatever's going on, this is interesting. Please don't go away, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go. Ready for the next hour.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Lucas Zanna on United States.FM Network.